I could spend my limited time this evening refuting each and every outrageous falsehood and slander that was thrown at Together for Redlands members last meeting. Or I could speak to the hypocrisy of complaining about name calling and then calling someone the child of Satan. Or we could just write the whole episode off to people being disappointed that the rapture did not go the way they hoped. But instead, allow me to point out the true purpose of the exhibition we witnessed at the last meeting, which was to distract from the continued reckless behavior of Candy Olson and Jeanette Wilson. Because the truth is, Miss Olson doesn't want to address the more than 800 email complaints against her, or her hateful and bigoted social media posts, or the false accusations she's made against Together for Redlands, or the ongoing FTPC investigation against her, or the legal and social costs of the culture war policies she continues to promote. Ms. Wilson doesn't want to have to defend her bigoted comments captured on video, or be reminded of the time she failed to condemn the Nazi flag as a symbol of hatred. So these board members rally their community to attack us because they can't defend their actions, and yet they know there is overwhelming evidence that their policies are a waste of tax dollars and based on hatred and bigotry. What Together for Redlands has been engaged in is dissent and criticism based on the board members' actions and the harmful policies you've passed. And our right to do so is based on the First Amendment of our Constitution. You should read it sometime. Dissent is patriotic. We are not going away. We are not going to stop. The lies you tell about us will be exposed, and when you cross the line, as Ms. Olson recently has, we will avail ourselves of all legal remedies to defend ourselves and hold you accountable for your actions. And Ms. Redler, I understand you've had some pressing commitments recently that precluded us from meeting, but it has been months I've been asking to meet with you, and it still hasn't happened. I hope that really changes this time, because it's getting old, and it sends a message to the community that you don't care what we have to say. So please, do something to change that narrative.
Hello, my name is Trisha Keeling. I'm the Executive Director of Together for Redlands, and I'm here to read a statement written by our board. Together for Redlands has issued a formal cease and desist to Trustee Candy Olson, Trustee Jeanette Wilson, and their affiliated platform Awaken Redlands, following the publication of false and defamatory statements directed at our organization. The letter formally demands that Ms. Olson, Ms. Wilson, and Awaken Redlands immediately retract the false allegations made against Together for Redlands, cease and desist from publishing, circulating, or endorsing any further false or misleading statements regarding our organization or its members, issue a public apology acknowledging the falsity of their prior claims and the harm caused by their dissemination, and preserve all related evidence, including social media posts, drafts, communications, and other records concerning these allegations. These directives are not optional. They are legal demands made in anticipation of potential litigation to protect Together for Redlands' reputation and the rights of its members. The letter also serves as formal notice that any continued publication or repetition of false information may constitute defamation and subject the responsible parties to legal liability. Together for Redlands' mission is rooted in civic engagement, transparency, and accountability. We categorically reject any form of violence, harassment, or intimidation, and expect the same standards of integrity from public officials. This cease and desist letter represents a lawful and necessary response to defamatory conduct that undermines public trust. Together for Redlands will continue to act within the bounds of the law to ensure the truth is upheld and that those who engage in harmful misinformation are held accountable. Thank you. Here's a copy of the cease and desist from our lawyers. Please give them to Jeanette and Candy. And one for the board.
Countersuit against them, Dale.
You should have received an email with it. Thank you. Thank you, Tricia.
I'm Kat and I'm Area 4, capably represented by Melissa and Patty. I'm here to talk about freedom. I'm here to talk about the freedom. I'm wearing these colors for a reason, because I believe part of being an American is that you will support people's right to have different opinions, and all kids. And when I say all kids, I include my son, who went to the school. And I know Michelle had many conversations about our children. Yours that I taught, my son. I will tell you that my son and other students like my son, LGBTQ students, are getting harassed at my school, at other schools. They're being told they should unalive themselves, they're being told they don't count, and they're saying that teachers, other staff, people don't notice. And they deserve protection, and it's more than you think, it's more troubling. People seeing flags like I'm wearing and will continue to wear here, tell my kids, tell my students who are LGBTQ that they matter, that they're safe. And yes, that alone doesn't say that. It should, but it doesn't, because the flag has been used over, it says everybody, but when somebody's house is burning, you don't say all houses matter. When somebody's race or somebody's gender is being attacked, you don't say all kids matter, because there's kids that need extra help. And yes, if they're African American, I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to make sure that they're okay. I'm going to make sure that when people are saying things about their community, when they're facing historic challenges and people insulting them and things that at the federal level we're saying, oh, slavery didn't happen, things like that. What does it say to African American students? What does it say to LGBTQ students when they're being removed from the Pentagon, when their soldiers that look like them are being fired? What does it say? Does it say they count? Does it say they exist? And yes, I know certain people from certain churches say that it's abomination, etc. And that's okay speech here. It seems to be okay for some reason. I don't understand it. When people say things, my son counts. My son's a human being, and students like him are human beings. And yes, they deserve to know that they're okay. And they deserve to see things. I put up flags, as you saw in my classroom. You two, please come to my classroom, and you will see all students are made welcome. I make sure of it, and I go visit them and talk to them. We need to do better. Protect all students.
Protect us.
And dissent is patriotic.
Thank you. Lawrence Pepperell, Dale Bloom, and Jean Sackett.
Could you ask Ms. Olson to pay attention, please?
Welcome, Lawrence.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Hebron. I live in Area 3 of the Redlands School District. I've come to correct a serious injustice which has been committed, because by now it is obvious that those guilty of that injustice have no intention of correcting it themselves. 2 meetings ago, on September 9th, Erica Grossman took this podium and told lie after lie after lie in order to support her own agenda, because the truth could not do so. She referred to Dr. Robert Newman, a psychologist, and said that Jeanette and Candy had brought him to the board meeting. That is not true. Dr. Newman came at the urging of another individual. She went on to say that Dr. Newman's, quote, license had been revoked for sexually abusing patients. He groomed them. One of the accusers was a teenager. That also is not true. Dr. Newman's 3 licenses were temporarily revoked because he had had a dual relationship with one of his patients, meaning he had social contact with the patient outside his practice, something which is no longer forbidden. And what was this social contact? The patient, who had computer expertise, tutored Dr. Newman's son on computer operations. She also had attended social gatherings at the Newman home, including a celebration of her receiving a master's degree, all of which were accompanied by Mrs. Newman. The review board never ruled that there was a sexual component to the relationship between Dr. Newman and his patient, much less any abuse. So why were charges brought against Dr. Newman? because he, an honorable person, would not validate the disability claim which the patient wished to file because he believed that it was not justified. And apparently she was rather vindictive. And by the way, that review board agreed to reinstate Dr. Newman's licenses, but he declined because he refused to be subject to a board that could behave so abominably and unprofessionally. Ms. Grossman then said, quote, "I heard that Mr. Hebron knows about Mr. Newman's case, sexual abuse case, and appears to be defending his sexual abuse." I don't know where she heard that. Was she screaming at herself in the mirror? Perhaps. But nevertheless, I never heard of such abuses because they never happened. So no one was not defending them. Ms. Grossman and her allies like to talk about Redlands being a welcoming community. Dr. Newman did not receive that welcome during his only visit here. Apparently, courteous conduct is only to be extended to those who share the views of Ms. Grossman. This case also serves as a powerful warning to our board members, namely, that many people like Ms. Grossman have no concern for the truth nor integrity. They only care about winning and will say anything they have to in order to do that. So please beware. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Dr. Dale Broom from Area 1. At the last school board meeting, Chris Claus, a former teacher and school board member from Redlands Unified School District, and others from the Together for Redlands, have been claiming that the school board had stripped students of their rights simply because they passed a policy that allowed parents to be able to appeal sexually graphic books in the libraries or in the curriculum. What kind of teacher and what kind of school board member thinks that books with sexually graphic descriptions of anal and oral sex, pedophilia, incest, and teen fornication have any business being in the libraries or the classrooms? And since when does the Constitution give children the right to read obscene material? The United States Supreme Court has consistently upheld the authority of local and state governments to restrict access of obscene material to minors, and the policies passed by this school board are consistent with that. He also claimed that the school district has a long history of limiting discussion of human sexuality. And yes, that is because it's decency, something that he doesn't seem to believe in. So, as Chris and others from Together for Redlands, they would like an expansive discussion of human sexuality to include false notions of transgenderism and that sexual activity between homosexuals and heterosexuals are equally safe. These are destructive falsehoods that are causing all sorts of harm to children. And thank God, Chris is no longer in the classroom and no longer on the school board. The teaching of human sexuality in schools should be limited and should be medically accurate and does not undermine the moral and religious values of our families. So just because someone is in the education does not mean that they have the best interests of children at heart. We need more school board members like Michelle Rendler, Candy Olson, and Jeanette Wilson, who will protect our children from sexually graphic books, curriculum, and instructional material. And unfortunately, sadly, Patty Houlihan and Melissa Ayala Quintero have failed to do that. And that is precisely why I have decided that I'm going to challenge Patty Houlihan for the school board race in Area 1.
Yay!
Voted against
Why are you not saying campaign from
I'm speaking.
You can't campaign.
Okay. So anyway, there's a need to have good school representatives, to have good school board members on this representation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Hold it!
Good evening. I'm from Area 4, Melissa is Area. I'm a parent, I'm a retired RSUG employee. I want to thank Patty and Melissa for standing up for all children, disabled, colored, ethnical background that doesn't match their own, for our LGBTQ, And I want to point out that Candy Olson has not yet apologized to me for laughing while I spoke in June. And then you were confronted about your behavior, unprofessional, rude behavior. You're supposed to represent all of our district, and yet you can laugh at a member of our district? Why is that appropriate for a board member? I think you should personally resign. But you're not. You ignore people when they come up to speak. You're so disgusting. The hatred that you share online. And then you're gonna look at me and start smirking? I have nothing more to say than you should resign, Candy Olson. You're disgusting.
Followed by Aaron Fernando and Peter Hall.
When I go up, film me on my phone.
This is LGBTQ History Month. LGBTQ plus community has a long history of fighting for basic human rights, and yet they continue to face discrimination. Some people think being transgender is a new concept, but trans people have always existed, including trans youth. In 1970s New York, records show that many transgender teens lived unhoused after being kicked out of their homes. I personally know several people in Japan who were forced out when they were young simply for being trans. It breaks my heart to think that anyone could discard their own child simply because of who they are. Some claim transgender is a social contagion and that many teens undergo medical procedures that they later regret. But how many teens do you personally know who received such treatments and regret it? Media have recently spread false narratives portraying transgender as violent or dangerous. How can anyone accept that when LGBTQ plus students are actively facing discrimination? Anita Road used a slur against our student. Our board member Candy made a trip to harass a trans student in another school district, as her mother told me directly. I read news reports of families with trans kids leaving the United States to seek safety, and that's the reality. Speaking of false claims, during the last meeting there was much discussion about truth and lies. Janet's comments in particular left me dismayed. Because during her campaign, Janet told people that schools are placing cat litter boxes in classrooms for students who identify as cats, and the schools are medically transitioning students. It's astonishing that someone would spread such baseless lies to win a school board election. We all know those things simply don't happen in schools.
Yeah, right.
Even a routine medical procedure like wisdom tooth removal requires parental consent and process. It's common sense. In celebration of LGBTQ History Month, let's bring back our common sense and historical truth. LGBTQ plus students deserve to be treated with the same dignity and respect as any other students. Let's protect all students.
Welcome, Aaron.
All right, Aaron Fernando, Area 2. I'd like to start by giving kudos to whoever worked on getting the student highlight as part of the agenda. I think everyone who has come to these meetings will agree that it's really inspiring seeing all these bright students share what they're working on in school. And Michelle Renner, you are really right, especially about the power of one moment of encouragement in a student's life. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but today's presentation really inspired me to give my all to my work, and I'm not even a student. So I just wanted to say that was a really nice moment. But as nice as it would be, it's not feasible to have a presentation for every single student group, right? But thankfully, there are other ways to provide encouragement, and one particularly effective method, I think, is promoting diverse books. It's great, isn't it? There are so many authors out there who are telling stories to encourage and uplift all kinds of students who need it. You should stop trying to ban them. All that does is hurt the kids who need to see positive examples of kids like them persevering through the same kinds of hardships they face. The protagonists of these stories help them feel less alone, help encourage them to not be afraid to ask an adult for help with whatever they're facing.
Okay.
Helps give them hope that they're going to be okay. It's so much easier to focus on your studies when you have encouragement like that, isn't it?
Well.
So thank you, board members Ayala Quintero and Holohan, for your unwavering commitment to the students in your district. Your community appreciates you and your efforts so much. To Candy, Jeanette, and Michelle, I can't wait until the day you're no longer able to get in the way of encouraging all of our students. To Candy specifically,
right.
It's wild that you think you can lecture us on racism and you're not looking at me. It's wild that you think you can lecture us on racism because, to paraphrase Jesus, let she who has not shared Hitler memes cast the first stone.
Not paraphrasing. That's directly misquoting. All right, hold this. Film me. Oh. I got a cramp.
Welcome back, Joshua.
I'd like to say a few words about B. Hamilton. At the last meeting, he lied about how, like, books that are being taken out because they promote LGBTQ plus sex. And we're taking out books that promote...
I am not a member of the board.
Yeah.
We're taking out books that promote, like, underage boys and girls having sex, or, like, adult males having sex with young females. We're taking out those books too. It's not just singling out LGBTQ+, but he lied about that. He also lied about how, like, immigrants are, you know, entering the country legally when they're not legally. And entering the country illegally is a violation of Title 8 U.S. Code 1325. Marrying someone just to avoid being detained or arrested and deported is also a violation, and starting a business if you're an illegal immigrant is a violation of 1325 Title 8. And also it's a violation of the Immigration Reformation Act for an employer to hire unknowingly an illegal immigrant. If you hire someone and they're an illegal immigrant, that's illegal, even if you didn't know, but like a lot of companies are knowingly hiring illegal immigrants, so that's a violation too.
Donald Trump's been convicted of more felonies than anyone.
That's in solidarity with the Japanese. Yeah, we bought that shirt at Manzanar, moron. Hold that.
Good evening. Hi, John Barry.
For my public comment, I'd like to talk about the vandalism of the Art Church that happened back in April 17, 2025. They still have not found the key person or people who did it. At least 2 swastikas were spray painted on the property. John Barry actually has video of at least one of the perpetrators, and while the person who did it cannot be clearly identified, he believes that the figure in the video has the same profile of Michael Pisner and is wearing...
Why are you allowing this? Why are you allowing this? He's slandering someone right here. Why are you allowing this, Michelle?
Really?
Michelle, it's not addressing your board.
Can't do that.
This doesn't have any jurisdiction on the board.
He's lying.
Nothing to do with the board.
It's funny how they can call us Nazis, but we can't speculate as to who may have vandalized our church. They say they're against violence. They're not against violence.
He didn't do it.
Point of order, please, Madam President. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
How do you know what you're doing?
I mean, Josh.
Oh, okay. That was a good answer.
Really?
Okay, John.
Yeah, evening. I'm John Barry, and I just published an article in the San Bernardino County Sentinel, chronicling the behavior of Together for Redlands. All information is derived from the public record. It includes the restraining orders filed against Tricia
Why are you allowing this?
and her best friend Everett Easley for the restraining discriminatory words were filed against them because their
Why are you
cyberbullying
allowing
was
this,
so
Michelle?
severe.
Michelle, why are you allowing this?
What is the jurisdiction?
Anyway, I'm here,
Why are
saving
you
my
allowing
time.
this?
Madam President, point of order, please.
Thank you, Patty.
Enjoying the moment. Anyway, I'm really here to congratulate Candy, Jeanette, and Michelle for the courageous defense of our kids in the wake of sustained and slanderous assault against their character. As a result of their fearlessness, district students can learn without the pressure of joining a transgender cult. And also as a result of their courage, people like you throughout the country, transgender identification, this nuttiness among youngsters is plummeting. It's now less than 4%, up from 10%. It's high in 2023. Second, it's time to declare victory over these people who push this sexually explicit material on who are young. We must label our opponents for who they really are, because the same ideology that assassinated Charlie Kirk is present in this room.
That is so crazy.
Their behavior through the public record includes doxing their opponents. They've doctored social media. They cyberbully individuals. They encourage children to talk filth to elected officials. Vandalize the art church.
Wow.
And magic how after the FBI questioned some of the Together for Redlands that the vandalism suddenly stopped. What a coincidence that is. Slander Jesus Christ, blaspheme the Bible. They dehumanized opponents by calling them Nazis and fascists. And Aaron Fernando, who just didn't have the courage to stay in the room, slandered my Jewish golf buddy and he refuses to apologize. They picketed Michelle Richards' church. They attacked
Michelle, why are you allowing? She's looking. Michelle.
And
Why?
and as you can see here, they've wasted all the public's time on this immoral
Madam
nonsense.
President, there has been a.
Why are you?
I still get my time.
There
I
have
still
been
get my
multiple
time.
point of orders requested.
Let them
Why are you
watch.
allowing this?
They lost.
Why?
You have 47 seconds left when we're done here.
There have been multiple point of orders requested by Vice President Holohan and they're being ignored.
I'm not ignoring them.
You haven't acknowledged her. I'm just asking that you please,
I heard her.
I'm asking, you didn't ask her what the point of order was about.
Why are you?
I heard the altercation.
So,
Look, they ran away.
Are they have
Why?
freedom of
It's
speech?
mine.
and somebody
I
said
get to
first
finish.
word, isn't that
It's
freedom of
my
speech?
It's your turn to speak, you can come up and speak.
Okay. So to conclude, their behavior proves why the Redlands School Board will always need a surplus of police protection. Because despite all their humiliating losses, this transgender cult will not give up. They never do, and the Charlie Kirk assassination proves that. Thank you. You got it.
You're confused. I have a question before you begin my time about public comment. Are you allowed to stand up here and gossip? Are you allowed to run for office and campaign for yourself in public comment? Because I thought public comment had to be related to the school district.
The guy who slandered Newman did.
Excuse me?
People keep coming up here all night long telling lies about an organization that has nothing to do with the school district. Is that allowed, Michelle?
I think it falls under the First Amendment right that they can come and speak.
Oh, because in the past, we've stopped people if they weren't talking about school district stuff.
Yeah, that was only for agenda items.
And no, you cannot come up here and campaign, no.
Dale Broom just did that, and you didn't stop him.
I did.
Only after the public. All right, says something.
Okay.
My name is Samantha Trad, and I am one of the founders and leaders of Together for Redlands. I want to clarify who Together for Redlands is because there's been a lot of lying. We are a diverse group of parents, students, teachers, grandparents, people who don't have students in the district but care deeply about our community and how their tax dollars are being wasted by you. In fact, we have thousands of supporters. Did you hear that, Michelle? Or are you just writing scripture and ignoring what everybody says up here as your meditation? I don't know, but you certainly don't seem to listen. We are the community of Redlands, and we have thousands of supporters. We are not a fringe group. We are the people who run this community. You knowingly deliberately pass policies that are illegal in the state of California that will harm students and will drain our schools of funding. Our schools are already underfunded and lack the support they need from the board. You say you want to protect students, but your actions do the exact opposite. Tonight, Candy and Jeanette complained about money being spent on speakers and events for non-white clubs. Yet you're just fine spending over $1 million on lawyers and legal fees to pay for lawsuits you know are coming because they came in Chino, they came in Temecula, and you passed the same policies, and it's clearly illegal in the state of California. President Redler, I've noticed you have been at a lot of school events recently. Where have you been the last few years? I haven't seen you until now. Why are you suddenly showing up? It's almost like there's an election coming up. But I want you to know that the community sees through your disingenuous efforts. They know what you have said and they know what you have done. But then again, you probably know that. How has your reception been when you've come to these community events? I heard you got booed at McKinley and other schools. How did that feel? By the way, Together for Redlands had nothing to do with that. In fact, we were at a board meeting when people started texting us to tell us that it had happened. This is your community booing you because of your actions and your words. And it's disgusting. Thank you, by the way, for finally putting your pen down and listening. People know what you have said and they know what you have done, and they are angry and they won't forget. They're going to make sure that you lose your election, Michelle and Jeanette Wilson, that you lose yours as well. And Patty, we gotta make sure you win. Thank you for standing up for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stu. Followed by Valerie Tabor and Catherine Appleby.
What did you say was next?
Jeff Logie.